passing this place called Nordic Skater, and I was very intrigued to see what it's about.
So this is what we call a Nordic ice skate. It's made by Zandstra, comes from Holland. It is, as you can see, a lot longer than a regular hockey skate or figure skate. The blade is actually sharpened differently. It's a flat edge rather than a hollow radius. So that's why it does not cut my hand as I go through that, but it is very sharp. Takes my fingernail right off. These are for lakes, ponds, rivers, and streams. The way that it's sharpened, the hardness of the steel and the length allow you to glide over cracks and bumps. So you can skate a lot more often, whereas hockey skates and figure skates need a pretty smooth surface to be successful. These are very durable, and you can skate extremely fast with these if you want to, but the distance is really what draws people to it, because you can skate 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 miles a day with minimal effort because your stride is so long. And the reason why your stride is so long is because we put a cross-country ski binding on there, and then we attach a cross-country ski boot. Another huge advantage, these are so much more comfortable than a hockey skate or a figure skate.
Yeah.
And they also offer a ton of support. So what we do is we just open the binding, we attach our cross-country ski boot,
Wow.
and now you essentially have a clap speed skate.
It has a very elegant look,
Yes.
I have to say.
And this boot is not exclusive. This is just a Zandstra boot, but we can do any ski boot on the market. We can do a backcountry boot, and then we can also do a combi boot or combination boot as well. Anything that's going to have a lot of good ankle support here to give you that support to push off and stand up, so you don't look like a baby giraffe out there.
So it sounds like a very niche kind of sport.
Extremely.
How did you get involved with this?
I started working here 8 years ago. Bought the store 2 years ago. We've been importing these business has been around for 25 years. We've been importing them for 25 years. The previous owner started bringing these in. We are the exclusive Zandstra importer for the United States. So we wholesale to other shops all across the country. And then obviously we sell to the general public as well.
Do you skate yourself?
I do.
Pawn skate?
I do, not as much as I would like to, because I'm here running the business and making sure everyone else gets to enjoy it. But it's hard to manage, having one day off a week and making sure that we have good ice so that I can go out there and planning the two. But we have a very large community here in New England. We have Facebook groups with over 10,000 people that are doing it. The sport grows every single year. There's a huge community in Alaska, Montana, and even in the Midwest. They get a lot of snow, but the sport is growing out in the Midwest too.
How long does the ice hold? Like, how long is the skating season here in New Hampshire?
So it depends on how crazy you want to be.
Okay.
I've got plenty of customers that go out with dry suits and full safety gear. And they'll skate on, 1 3/4 to 2 inches of ice, which is not recommended. That's some dangerous stuff. But if you know how to self-rescue and be careful with it, and you're with a large group, that could help potentially pull you out.
That's pretty hardcore, huh?
Yes. But realistically, 4 inches is definitely safe. And 4 inches usually is going to be kind of by Christmas. We usually have about 4 inches of ice on a good year. It's usually cold enough to get that kind of ice. Your bigger lakes and ponds are going to take longer, but small lakes and ponds or reservoirs, you can get 4 inches pretty quickly. And then usually by middle of January, beginning of January, we've got between 6 and 10 inches of ice, which you could drive a truck on that. So usually when you see the ice fishermen out there, you got pretty safe ice.
So if you had to take a stance, would you say it's a skate or a ski?
Oh, it's definitely a skate.
A skate.
It's a hybrid of cross-country skate skiing, but it's definitely skating. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, it's definitely a skate, but you definitely take your skate skiing experience and that technique and apply it to this, because the stride is differently. There is a little bit of a learning curve if you're going from a hockey skate or a figure skate to a Nordic skate, but it's not a crazy learning curve. A couple times out there, you'll get the hang of it and you're good to go.
So what's the rough investment gear-wise?
Rough investment, you're looking at anywhere between like 500 to, I mean, kind of the sky's the limit, 800, 900. It depends on the boot. Like a skate with a binding is roughly going to cost you between 250 and 350, depending on the skate quality, the binding quality. And then a skate boot is going to run you between 250 and upwards of like $1,000, depending on how nice of a boot you want. But you could get into it for about $500-600 for a complete package.
Now your store sits right on the corner of the lake. Do you have like a back door where you just fly out during lunch?
Unfortunately, there is a cemetery behind us, and we would have to walk around to the harbor. But even then, it's hard to get on this lake because there's not a ton of public access. Because the public access, they use water circulators and bubblers on the docks to protect them from the ice dams. So it's usually thin ice.
I see.
So we usually stick to a lot of the smaller ponds around the area. There's tons of them. There's a couple larger ponds locally that actually plow trails. So when we usually get a lot of snow, so the skating season ends. So these larger lakes have set up programs where they hire people or they have the town do it, and they actually plow an ice skating trail on the lake regularly.
Wow.
So there's Mascoma Lake in Enfield, and then there's also Lake Morey, which is up in Fairleigh, Vermont. They're pretty popular. They've been on the news a bunch of times. They have a 4 or 5 mile long skating loop on that lake. They rent the Nordic ice skates up there. So that's super popular. People come from all over to be able to skate there. And you don't have to use these. You can use hockey skates or figure skates, but these are recommended because the ice surface is usually pretty rough.
So is it the kind of thing, the kind of sport that is making its way to ESPN, or is it a pre-ESPN phase?
I think we're a couple generations away from anything on ESPN.
Is there racing involved?
There's not really racing. It's more of a hobby.
I see.
It's more recreational. Just people who want to get out there and explore. These allow you to skate in a lot of places that you wouldn't normally be able to.
Yeah.
So you can skate rivers, you can skate streams. So you get a chance to see a lot of things in the wintertime that you can normally only see in the summertime.
I see.
When everything's not frozen, you can be in a boat, things like that. So it allows you to explore a lot more year round. So you can be out, on the water, in a boat, kayak, whatever, in the summertime and in the nicer months. And then in the winter, you can do the exact same thing with these.
In your customer base, do you know of any commuters, people that actually commute?
Yes.
From a bridge to a bridge? There is no downhill, there is no uphill, it's all level, right?
I actually have, I have one customer, I'm not going to say her name, but I have one customer who commutes to work every single day in the wintertime.
On the river.
On these. She works at a school, and she lives the school's on a lake, and she lives on the other side, and she commutes to school in these. There are people in Scandinavia, which is where these originated from. There are people there that still do it. They have a large race. I couldn't tell you the name of it. It's a Norwegian thing. But you race you skate from town to town, and they flood the streets and the sidewalks, and you literally skate from town to town.
Wow.
And I think it's like 10 different towns you skate to. It's a long race. But then there are other races that you can actually do. There's the Mongol 100 in Mongolia.
Wow.
That takes place, I think it's in March every year. And it's on Lake Baikal, which is 100 miles long.
Oh yeah, it's the deepest freshwater lake.
Correct.
I grew up in Russia, so
okay,
yeah,
there you go.
Baikal,
Yep. So that is a race. It's kind of like a rat race kind of thing. It's quickest across with no motor. So you can use a fat bike, you can use Nordic ice skates.
Oh, wow. Anything goes.
Anything goes, you just can't have a motor. And then there's stops every night, and you stay in yurts. The locals there will feed you, and then there's a big celebration at the end when everybody's finished.
I bet that's on your bucket list, right?
I think Mongolia in March is a little cold for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, they say that the nightly temperature is like -20, -30. I don't think I'm built for that, but it would be kind of neat to check that out and visit there. But yeah, that's an interesting race for sure.
Well, on that personal note, in terms of Nordic skating, what is on your bucket list? Is there something?
Yes, so there is in Quebec, there's a place called Arrowhead Park, and they actually flood a skating trail through the forest, and you can skate at night or day.
Glades, huh? Kind of like doing glades for mountain skiing.
Yes. Yep. And so at nighttime, they actually light it with fire torches.
Oh wow!
So you can skate through, and it's just whimsical. Like just everything is firelit, and you're just skating through a forest at night. So that's super cool.
Possibly with a torch in your hand.
You
right?
could. I wouldn't want to fall with that, and you wouldn't need it because it's well lit with the torches. There's a lot of them, but it's a shorter trail. I think it's only a 1.5 kilometer trail, so it's a little bit shorter. And then obviously the canals in Ottawa would be an ideal spot to get into eventually, because it's just the canals are just an absolute experience. So
this is a mind-blowing application of of steel, I have to say.
Yep.
Well, thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
As I looked around the store, I noticed paragliding style equipment, so I had to ask AJ about that. Do people Nordic skate with wings?
Yep. Yeah, these wings are designed for Nordic ice skates, or you could use downhill skis or a snowboard, and you take them out on the lake and you sail across the lake. So if there's ice, you would use Nordic ice skates. If it's snow on the lake, then you would use skis or snowboards.
So is it called paraskating, like paragliding?
Nope, kite sailing.
Kite sailing.
Yep, because there's no lift with these. You can get a little bit of air if you go off berms or jumps or anything like that, but there's no real lift. They're designed to pull you across, not go up. So that's why it's really just considered a sail.
What kind of speed do people reach? Do you know?
Depends on the sail, depends on the wind, but I mean, I've seen some guys getting like 40 miles an hour across the lake. They will fly. And then the bigger wings with the more advanced booms on them, you can get those in aluminum or carbon fiber. And then also you can harness in to help you with holding it. These smaller ones are more for ice skating with the Nordic ice skates, because they're super lightweight. That one weighs like 3 pounds. So yeah, those are more designed for the Nordic ice skates.
I'm glad to know that, because if I saw something like that on a lake, I would think that the pterodactyls came back,
Most people come in here and they look up and they see those and they ask if they're like, hang gliders or whatever. But if you tried to hang glide with one of those, you would go straight down. It's not going to hold you up.
No lift. So we looked around a little longer, picked up some merch, and left. AJ was a great host. I learned a lot about Nordic skating and definitely left with a secret desire to give it a try sometime, perhaps next winter.